Okay, so I don't actually like biking in the rain in December that much to go on a special trip just for the sake of it. I'm here specifically because it's raining. There are two interesting things that happen right around here on University Street when it's raining.
It's a deep building.
The first one is the Canada Life building behind me. It's quite a distinct building. It doesn't really fit in with the rest of the architecture around, and I'll talk about why that is later. But the thing that I'm really in the rain here to show you is the tower on top. You can see that right now it's actually blinking red with solid white strobes down the sides, which I guess isn't that interesting because that is actually the color of the Canada Life logo. But normally it's lit up green or white, or the strobes are moving up and down in colors that aren't really associated with Canada Life. Why is that? The reason is because this is actually a weather beacon. Back in, a time before everybody had a cell phone with them and they could just check the weather that way, people working in businesses wanted to know if they needed to take an umbrella when they went home or something. And it would be rude to tune into your radio. So instead, looking out your window at a beacon like this is an easy way to tell what the weather is going to be in the next 3 or so hours. A red blinking light on top means that it's raining. A green one means the weather is going to be good. And basically, the more excitement, the crazier the weather is going to be. Strobes going up means temperatures going up. Strobes going down means temperatures going down. So there's a neat little Easter egg for you if you're in the city and you notice it. And we can see right now it's predicting more rains on the way. But the second, more interesting thing that is supposed to be happening when it's raining is this statue, the Adam Beck Statue. This is actually the tallest statue of a human in Toronto. Adam Beck is who built all of the hydroelectric infrastructure initially in Toronto and really championed building a modern and electrified city in a time when that was pretty novel, and is a big part of why Toronto is as developed as it is today, and why people in Ontario will even refer to electricity as hydro, basically synonymously. It's very weird when you hear somebody say like, oh yeah, I had to pay a hydro bill or something. Anyway, this is the reason why. And that's why he gets this huge statue. But the statue is very interestingly shaped, and it is supposed to look like a running outflow of a hydroelectric dam during rain events. I thought that it would be funnel shaped on top to do this. It turns out it's not, and I think there's actually some sort of pump that makes it operate once I got up and inspected it more. It's been raining all day and there is no water running down it, so obviously it's not triggered just by the rain, which kind of disappointed me. I even kicked around these leaves and such, and I think this is actually more a fountain with a pump. And I think maybe this thing connects to the pump, or maybe it's supposed to be a light or something. When I chase the copper wire that's coming out of it, I can see that it's broken here. So I wonder if maybe the statue is broken and that's why there's not water running through it right now. Anyway, I thought that would be really nifty and is why I'm out here in the rain. So let's go back to talking about the Canada Life building and why it looks the way that it looks. And University Street in general is kind of this bizarre street that has all these weird islands in the middle. They look like they should be pedestrian friendly, but because of these weird turning lanes that cause a lot of people to get T-boned and such, it's actually not pedestrian friendly at all. You can't walk up the middle of it, which makes these sort of useless islands. Now, a lot of these islands do have war memorials, the most obvious being this one for the South African War, something that I don't think is really in the conscience of a lot of Canadians, and this sort of World War I monument. And this was really supposed to be a World War I monument street. So basically after World War I, the City Beautiful movement had finally creeped up into Canada and Canadian architects' sort of conscience, and the idea was to create University Street as this giant sort of national mall, like what you find outside of Washington, D.C. And the entire street was going to be this big, wide thing with this huge sort of pedestrian park running down the middle of it. And then the centerpiece was going to be right in front of what is now the Canada Life building, which is going to be this huge roundabout with a giant Vimy War Memorial in the middle of it. This is going to be Toronto's Statue of Liberty or something like this, the real icon of the city, the establishing shot in a movie if you want it to be set in Toronto. And then the entire street was going to be identical versions of this Canada Life building, basically lining the whole way along, even around this round part. Now, this was all planned, and they kicked off building this with the Canada Life building, which they finished in 1929. Shortly after they completed it, though, the Depression kicked in, and doing these big, beautiful public works projects was unpopular, probably incorrectly. If you look at cities that did try to build things in this period, they built very impressive buildings. The Empire State Building is one that comes to mind. But instead, they decided to double down on crushing the entire economy and stopped building anything, which is why now University Street is really wide up by Queen's Park and then kind of narrows down with these awkward islands and then ends just by sort of turning into this weird five-way intersection that's kind of awkward to navigate and has turned York Street into a one-way street to try to make it somewhat useful. Front Street westbound, if you take this lane, public parking there, you gotta do a weird U-turn to get to wherever that guy's going. Front Street east, I guess. York Street south, if you continue, well, straight, I say, but it's actually a weird S shape. There's also, York Street north, which is a one-way street, which you can't actually access from this street, which you can tell that this is a cop-out, basically. Other things you notice along University Street is the American Consulate has these really cleverly baked in sort of bollards or bomb-proof things to keep somebody from driving trucks into them. Those are recent. Now University Street has, a Staples and a bunch of hospitals along it that are all built in, I don't know, the same sort of bland, cheapest concrete possible construction, and it frankly just isn't that beautiful a street. Considering what it could have been according to these plans. It also means that there's a lot of emergency vehicles traveling on it. They've tried to bolt in bike lanes, but because of these weird intersecting things, again, it's just not as friendly as it should be. Okay, so now we've learned about a few of the nifty things to see in the rain while you're driving along or stuck in traffic on University Street. Check out the Canada Life building, now you know how to check the weather with it. And hopefully someday, maybe in the summer, I'll see this Adam Beck statue actually running, and I'll maybe update this somehow with footage of the water flowing through it. Anyway, have a beautiful day. Oops. A lot of traffic. I hope the traffic noise doesn't ruin it. It probably will. Shortly after 1929, the Great Recession of 1930 kicked in.